Welcome to the Business English Podcast, where we help non-native professionals like you master the language of success. I'm Rob, and today we're diving into something every account manager needs to nail: building long-term client relationships. Picture this: a sharp account manager from Spain sitting at his desk in a buzzing London office. He's got a coffee in one hand, a stack of emails staring him down, and a problem he can't quite shake. Charlie's just finished a big project for a client, a real win, the kind that makes you feel like you're on top of the world. But here's the catch: the project's done, the client's happy, and now what? How does he keep that momentum going? How does he turn this one-off success into a relationship that lasts? He drafts an email. "Thanks for the project. Hope to work with you again." He stares at it, deletes it. Too vague, too stiff. He picks up the phone, then puts it down. Will they think he's pushy? Charlie's English is solid, but he knows it's the little things, the phrasing, the tone, that can make or break a follow-up. And then there's that client. You know, the one demanding, always asking for more, never quite satisfied. Last week, they called Charlie out of the blue, frustrated about a tiny delay. He stumbled through an apology, but it didn't land right. Now he's wondering, how do you handle tricky clients without losing your cool, or even worse, their business? Charlie's story might sound familiar. Maybe you felt that same knot in your stomach, wondering how to keep clients coming back, how to sound proactive without overstepping, or how to smooth over a tense moment. Here's the thing: it all comes down to communication. The right words at the right time, in the right way. So what's the secret to follow-ups that don't flop? How do you stay one step ahead of your client's needs? And what do you say when the conversation gets tricky? That's what we're unpacking today on the Business English Podcast. By the time we're done, you'll have the tools to build client relationships that don't just survive, they thrive. Curious how Charlie's going to turn this around? Stick with me, because we're about to find out. Today we're digging into why building long-term client relationships is a game changer for account managers and, of course, our friend Charlie. So why is mastering this communication skill such a big deal? Let's break it down. First up, follow-up language. You've just nailed a project, high fives all around. But if you let the connection fizzle out, that's where the story ends. A sharp, thoughtful follow-up keeps you in the game. It's like planting a seed for repeat business. Imagine sending an email that says, "Loved collaboration on that campaign. How can we keep the ball rolling?" Suddenly, you're not just a vendor, you're a partner they can't forget. But it's not just about staying on their radar, it's about showing you care. A client who feels valued is a client who comes back. And trust me, there's a trick to making these follow-ups feel natural. We'll get onto that a bit later. Next, proactive communication. This is where you flex your superpower, anticipating what your client needs before they even ask. Picture this: you notice their contract's about to lapse. Instead of waiting for them to call, you reach out with, "Hey, I saw your subscription's winding down. Want to chat about what's next?" Now you're not reacting, you're leading. That's the kind of move that turns a one-time deal into a long-term gig. And here's the kicker: proactive doesn't just save the day, it saves you stress. Spotting issues early means fewer fires to put out later. Curious how to phrase that without sounding like a know-it-all? Hang tight, because we've got some gold coming your way. Now, let's talk about tricky clients. We've all had them. The ones who test your patience and make you question your life choices. But here's the thing: knowing how to handle them is your ticket to standing out. Say a client's fuming about a missed deadline. You hit back with, "I get why you're upset, here's how we're going to fix it." That's not just damage control, that is trust building. Get this right, and you're not just keeping the client, you're turning a headache into a handshake. Think about it. A tricky client who sticks around is worth their weight in gold. How do you pull that off without breaking a sweat? We're diving into the phrases that'll make it happen in just a minute. So, whether it's locking in repeat business, solving problems before they blow up, or winning over the tough ones, these skills are your secret weapon. They're what separate the account managers who scramble from the ones who soar. Ready to see how Charlie and you can put this into action? Let's keep rolling. Now it's time to get practical. We're about to arm you with the exact phrases to nail follow-ups, proactive communication, and those tricky client moments. Charlie's taking notes, and so should you. But first, a quick shout out. Want more powerful resources like this? Sign up for our weekly newsletter, the 3-Minute Minutes, or level up with the Business English Podcast Premium subscription for faster, better upgrades. The links are in the show notes. Alright, let's dive into the phrases. I'll say each one twice so you can shadow my pronunciation. Ready? First up, follow-up language. Here is a gem. Thank you for your time today. I look forward to our next steps. Thank you for your time today. I look forward to our next steps. Use this after a meeting to keep the door open. Say you've just pitched a proposal. Drop this in an email or at the end of a call. And what's the nuance here? Look forward. This is optimistic. It signals enthusiasm without being pushy. Next up, it was great working with you on project. Let's stay in touch for future opportunities. It was great working with you on project. Let's stay in touch for future opportunities. This works after wrapping a project, like Charlie's Big Win, for example. Plug in the project name for that personal touch. And the word great here, it's subtle but builds positivity. Now, proactive communication. Try this. I wanted to check in and see how everything is going with service product. I wanted to check in and see how everything's going with service product. Use this to show you're on top of things. Maybe there's software rollouts underway and you're just checking in on the progress. Check-in is a great phrasal verb here. It is casual yet professional. It's like knocking on their door without barging in. Here's another one. Based on our last conversation, I thought you might be interested in new feature or offer. Based on our last conversation, I thought you might be interested in new feature or offer. Drop this when you've got something new to offer, like a discount Charlie's client might jump at. The phrase based on ties it to their needs, making it feel tailored. Finally, tricky clients. Here's a lifesaver. I understand your concern and I'm here to help find a solution. I understand your concern and I'm here to help find a solution. Use this when a client's upset, like when Charlie's demanding client called. The phrase, I understand, validates their feelings, and help find shows you're in it together. Last, let's work together to resolve this issue as quickly as possible. Let's work together to resolve this issue as quickly as possible. Perfect for de-escalating, like when a deadline slips. The word let's pulls them onto your team, and as quickly as possible adds urgency without panic. These phrases are your starting line, simple, sharp, and ready to roll. Practice them, tweak them, make them yours. Coming up, we'll tackle the mistakes that could trip you up and how to dodge them. How's Charlie going to use these to lock in that repeat business? Let's find out next. Now we're getting into the danger zone. Common errors and slick tips to make sure your client communication doesn't crash and burn. Charlie's been there, tripping over words, second-guessing himself. So let's save you from the same headaches. First up, timing. Want to know a huge mistake? Waiting too long to follow up. You finish a project and a week later you're still drafting that email. By then, the client's moved on and you're old news. The tip here is strike while the iron's hot, a great phrase. Send that follow-up within 24 to 48 hours. Set a calendar reminder if you have to. Charlie learned this the hard way when a client ghosted him after a late thanks. Don't let that be you. Next, the tone trap. Non-native speakers sometimes go overboard with formality. Dear esteemed client, it is with utmost gratitude ... and it sounds like a robot wrote it. Or worse, it's a cultural misstep. In the UK or US, that can feel stiff and distant. So the advice here is to keep it pro but warm, like you're talking to a respected colleague. Thanks for the great chat, looking forward to the next steps. This hits the sweet spot. Now, tricky clients. A classic error, getting defensive. They complain and you snap back, well, that wasn't our fault. And bang, you've lost them. Culturally, this is a no-go in places like Japan or the UK, where staying calm is king. The advice is to take a breath, listen, and focus on solutions. I hear you, let's fix this together. This phrase flips the script. Charlie once argued with a client and nearly tanked the deal. Lesson learned. Here's a sneaky one. Over-promising. You're eager to please, so you say, no problem, we'll have it done by tomorrow. Then you end up missing the mark. Grammatically, watch those absolute promises. We will can really trap you. So the tip is to under-promise and over-deliver. Try, we'll aim to get this sorted by tomorrow. Any delays, I'll let you know as soon as possible. It's realistic and builds trust. And here is another important one. Going generic. Hope you're well, let's work again sometime. This feels like a complete copy and paste job. Non-native speakers sometimes lean on safe, vague phrases, missing the cultural cue that personal matters. So drop in specifics. Loved your feedback on the last campaign. Let's chat about phase 2. This shows you're paying attention. One more curveball here are the obvious grammar slip-ups. Saying, I look forward to hear from you instead of hearing from you is a tiny error, I admit, but that screams not polished. Or dropping articles. I send email instead of I'll send an email. This can confuse clients. So my advice here, slow down, double check, and practice those phrases we've covered. These are small fixes, but they will create a huge impact. Dodge these pitfalls and you're golden. Timing, tone, staying cool, promising smart, getting personal, and nailing the details. These are your cheat codes. Coming up, we'll wrap this up and see how Charlie turns it around. What's the one tip that'll stick with you? Let's find out. And that's a wrap on today's Business English podcast. We've just unpacked the art of building long-term client relationships. Everything from killer follow-ups to taming tricky clients. Let's circle back to Charlie. Armed with these tools now, he's firing off smart follow-ups, staying ahead of clients' needs, and turning tense calls into wins. That repeat business? It's in the bag. And you can do the same. Whether you're sealing the deal or smoothing the edges, it's all about those words that work. Here's your takeaway. Practice those phrases. Say them out loud, tweak them, and own them. Communication's a dance, and you've got to hear the rhythm. Oh, and one final tip before I go. Always end your client chats with a clear next step, like, I'll ping you next week with an update. It's simple, it's proactive, and it keeps the ball in play. Thank you for tuning in today, and if you did love this episode, share it with a colleague who's wrestling with clients, or drop us a review to let us know what really hits home. And so, keep talking, keep connecting, and of course, keep it strictly business.